Fighting Vipers was released to the arcades in 1995 and hit the SEGA Saturn in October of 1996. The game used the same Model 2 hardware as Virtua Fighter 2 and features pretty similar gameplay. Players have access to a guard, punch, and kick attack, and the focus is mainly on combos. The action takes place in a caged arena, which allows players to bounce their opponents off the wall and perform juggling attacks. Couple that with special powerful attacks, and that's ultimately what differentiates Fighting Vipers from Virtua Fighter 2. Personally, I find it a much more exciting game overall because of the silly nature of it. There are 8 default characters to choose from, but there are additional characters players can unlock by playing through the game repeatedly and on higher difficulty settings. The 8 main characters are Grace, Ban, Raxel, Tokyo, Sandman, Jane, Candy, and Picky. Those names are pretty legendary, aren't they? I mean, surely you know Candy just as well as you know Ryu, right? Okay, maybe not. That's being ridiculous. But seriously, they fit the game perfectly. There are 3 additional characters you can unlock, including a bear mascot, Kumachan, and 2 other fighters, BM and Mauler. There are also additional costumes you can unlock if you're into that sort of thing. Each fighter wears some kind of armor, and this is really what makes the game unique. And you can see their armor meter in the top left and right portions of the screen. This lets you know how much more damage said piece of armor can take before it's destroyed. Once a piece of armor is removed, not only can you see it literally fall off your character, but that character will now be more susceptible to damage if they're hit in that specific area. Another unique feature to Fighting Vipers is that each character can use a throw recover, and that's performed by pressing all 3 action buttons at the same time. And this adds a tremendous amount of depth to the fighting system because you can juggle, wall bounce, and throw recover, leading to some really exhilarating fights and a lot of air combat too. Something kind of unique for the time was the training and playback mode. The training mode guided players through each of the characters' unique moves, and the playback mode allowed recorded replays to be played back, which might not seem so revolutionary today, but back in 1996, this was actually pretty impressive stuff. The graphics have naturally taken a hit compared to the arcade version, but they remain bright and colorful. The characters are made of less polygons and don't animate nearly as smoothly as the arcade, and naturally almost every game from this generation hasn't aged nearly as well as the generations that came after it, so don't expect much overall. The soundtrack though is awesome, and it's rip-roaring and rocking. It's just great and holds up perfectly. Fighting Vipers was largely overlooked when it was released in the arcades, and the Saturn version was supposed to breathe new life into the franchise. However, it didn't really do much for it because the SEGA Saturn as a whole just bombed. The game was re-released on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2012 and could be the easiest version to get your hands on depending on which systems you own. The Saturn version goes for around $10 to $20 these days and is pretty common, to be honest. So if you like what you're seeing here and you have a couple of bucks available, I say go out and pick it up. It's a fun fighter that holds up well, especially when you've got some friends over and are looking for a no-brains game to kill a few hours on. Go ahead and give it a try. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Begin. Go! Ha! Ha! Ha!